I was on a plane one night flying from Dallas to Memphis, sitting next to a guy who was the CEO of a big accounting firm. He looked at me and, the proverbial, what do you do for a living? And I didn't want to say I'm a motivational speaker because usually people, when you hear the words, I'm a motivational speaker, they think of a Saturday Night Live skit and the guy who lives in the van down by the river. So I was trying to avoid telling him what I did for a living, and then he looked at me and he said, so you're a professional speaker? I said, yeah. And he goes, so really you're a motivational speaker? Yeah, I am. And then he asked me a question I've never been asked. He said, so what motivates a motivational speaker? And the only thing that came to my mind was that moment when you're speaking, that you can see in somebody's eyes the aha, and they get it. And I have people tell me a lot, especially when we do corporate events, we're doing training for companies. I have people who come and tell me, the things I learned today about how I can interact with my coworkers and things that I can do to improve my own professional development, they're all things that make sense to my personal life, to my family life, how I'm going to interact with. And that, to me, is the answer to why I do what I do.
Picture in your mind right now the roller coaster pulling in. You climb in. The shoulder harness comes over your shoulders. And you look up and there's a young man, barely old enough to drive. He's smiling at you. He knows something you don't know. He gives us the it's okay to start motion. And suddenly we begin to move forward into the unknown. We're entering a tunnel. It's dark. There's quiet whispering and sounds. There's a turn, and then all of a sudden the clicking, gear grinding sound of the ascent. And you look up and you can see at the end of the track blue skies way above. When we emerge from the tunnel, you look out and you can see we're now above the trees. It's all familiar surroundings, just a new perspective. And you continue to climb until finally, 12 stories high, we're at the top and everything levels off. And it's quiet here. And you can see the whole world from here. The nose drops and you are straight down racing 70 miles per hour towards the ground. And suddenly everybody is screaming. Right before you reach the bottom, there's a turn, a right turn, a left turn, a right. You're climbing, unexpectedly climbing. Suddenly you discover you are hanging upside down. Lean over and kiss your neighbor goodbye. A few more twists and turns, and then finally a long, slow stop right where we started from. Sound like life? Does, doesn't it? We start our careers, our businesses, our relationships with certain expectations, certain hopes and dreams. And we begin to move through the unknown, the dark, the climb, the new perspectives, new opportunities, finally reaching what we think is, this is it. Then the bottom drops out. The economy fails. Somebody makes bad decisions. Sometimes it's us. There's twists and turns of unexpected changes, and there's the loop-to-loop of health issues. That's life. I think the greatest tragedy is not that the ride comes to an end, but that for many of us, it keeps coming back to the same place we started. And nothing has really changed. And then worse, we do it all over again. Have you ever set a goal and didn't achieve it? Don't raise your hands, it's all right. But you're in good company. Recent research shows that 92% of people do not achieve the goals that they set. Isn't that depressing? I think it's horribly depressing. There's about 100 of us right now in this room. That means only 8 of us are going to achieve our goal. That's scary. Well, I've got some better news. 58% of us set a goal, work to accomplish it for about 4 weeks, and then we lose our momentum and we quit. It's even more depressing, isn't it? Right about now you're thinking, didn't they say he was a motivational speaker? You could go ahead and ask your neighbor, isn't he supposed to be a motivational? I mean, how depressing is that? Does that sound like a reasonable conversation? I think it is. It's what I'd scripted. I was totally prepared. He looked at me and he gave me what sometimes your employees give you. I call it the Scooby-Doo response. It sounds like this. I don't know. I don't know. Okay. Took the flashlight and I followed the path through the trees all the way up to the outhouse. And I got to tell you, when I got there, I was relieved. That I got there in one piece. So I started telling the story about the porcupine races in Idaho.
On your mark, get set, race!
And suddenly people are laughing and they're coming up to me afterwards and they're saying, I've got a prickly person in my life too. And it was like, I'm telling a story about porcupine races and the strategy of helping, a strategy of achieving a goal when you have somebody on your team that's difficult to work with. That's all it was just a story to teach a concept or ideas. And people related to porcupines.
A porcupine who happened this morning to wake up and said to himself, I need a mental health day. I need to get away from everything and everybody. I think I'll take a walk on my favorite path. And he's just been minding his own business, walking up this direction. He knows of a little bridge and a beautiful little stream, and suddenly looks up and sees you in full steam coming right at him. And both of you freeze. What would you do if this were to have really happened in your life and you encountered a porcupine? What would you do?
Go back to the girl.
Go back to the girl. Thanks for playing. What would you do? Back up? Yes?
Turn on my computer.
Thank God it's not a skunk, all right? Stand and observe. Anybody else, what would you do?
Grab a stick and start swinging.
Grab a stick and start swinging. This is a conflict management class. We're glad that you're here. What else would you do? Give him his way. Give him his way. I thought I heard somebody else say, go way around it. Absolutely. Absolutely. Does this sound a whole lot like work? You get up in the morning and life is good. You drive to work, you do your thing. Everything is running just like it should be, and you're feeling wonderful. And then you have to go take some information to somebody else. Halfway there, you turn the corner, and there he is. Your prickly person.